time to light the match for the Burning Truth with Casey Hendrickson.
And good afternoon. Thank you for tuning in to The Burning Truth. I am your host, Casey Hendrickson. Just had Senator Banks on about half an hour ago, and joining us right now is Congressman Marlin Stutzman from Indiana's 3rd Congressional District. Congressman Stutzman, how you doing this afternoon?
Hey, I'm doing all right, Casey. Thanks for having me on this afternoon.
I appreciate it. You stuck in the airport too, or are you actually good to go?
I am good to go. I just left this afternoon and just got to D.C. Before any major weather hit.
But, lucky you.
Touch and go today for sure.
Yeah, no kidding. Lucky you. All right, so a couple of different things on the radar. We did just talk with the senator about the SAVE Act, and I know that the House has done its job, but the House still has more work to do because it looks like the president has suggested that the SAVE Act get added to the FISA reauthorization. Have you heard about this yet?
Yeah, I know there's talk about trying to find a way to get this thing through, and I just don't see the Democrats, besides John Fetterman, being willing to help anywhere. And whether it's on FISA, I would be surprised if they would even vote for FISA. But, of course, you know, they know more on that side, the strategy that might work than anything. But I know that if it was with the FISA bill in the House, I would feel fairly confident that we would get it passed as Republicans. But I don't think there'd be much Democrat help.
All right. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the three paths in front of us. We know the vote's going to fail this week, but Congressman, a couple of things that are kind of like off the beaten path, and we haven't gone off the beaten path in a little while. This fiasco with Tucker Carlson and Mark Levin. I'm friendly with both of them. They've both been kind to me. I've been kind to them. It's not been a contentious relationship with either of them in my career, but I've always viewed both of them as fairly extreme when it comes to foreign intervention on the opposite angle. And that seems to have kind of blown over. And we've got what Tucker Carlson is basically saying the CIA is reading his text messages with communications and stuff like that with Iranians. And I guess Mark Levin called him a traitor and stuff like that. What in the world is going on here, and where are you falling down on it?
Yeah, well, you know, it is. It's interesting. And again, I think that Tucker needs to be aware, you know, that, people, it depends on where he's at, what he's doing, and whether or not, the CIA is going to be watching him. I think because he has been so vocal from a standpoint, I mean, so something's changed. And that's where I guess I'm at, Casey, is I've always thought of Tucker Carlson to be a thoughtful, conservative, independent voice, which I liked. I mean, even the fact when he went over and did an interview with Russian President Putin, I was like, okay, you know what?
Yeah, I had no issue with it. Yeah.
Biggest fan of, just going around and interviewing, but it's like, you know what? We as Americans should at least be able to be open to seeing and listening from these people that we have big disagreements with. And so I didn't have too much of a problem with it. Well, now it just seems that lately, and I think it's more his who is in his he's his target, and it's more like, okay, all of a sudden Israel is the bad people and the Qataris are the good people, and to me, I just don't buy that at all, for one. But I think to go say one group of people is extremely right and the other side is extremely wrong is not always the best position to be in either. You know, we need to all be held accountable for our own actions. And, Qatar, yeah, you know what? They have come a long way from where they have been in the past, but we still need to keep a close eye on to, are they funding Muslim Brotherhood? Are they still funding any sort of terrorist activities? And those are serious questions that we have to consider. And then the other side is look what Israel has done. To say that Israel is all of a sudden the bad people here, and you know what? The situation with Gaza, it is ugly. It's a bad situation. And let's just remember, though, that October 7th of 2023, Israel was attacked out of Gaza and 1,200 people were killed. And whether you want to say, and again, I think it's hard for us to know truly because there's a lot of propaganda wars going on all sides. I mean, Israel's pushing their message, and you have Muslims and jihadists and Iran pushing messages. So there's a lot out there. So I think we need to take a step back and say, you know what, we are America first, but we're also going to be keeping a close eye on who our new friends are and our old friends, making sure let's try to bring both sides together and not pit them against each other for more conflict. We all know that Iran, and after Iran struck the UAE today and killed a civilian, I think it shows the Gulf states that Iran is not their friends, which they knew that for a long time, but that they should be on the side of America, and Israel is on our side as well. So I don't know why we are pitting people against each other like the way Tucker is.
And I know that you were in Qatar not that long ago, but there was also like this. Were you there during that massive like conservative influx that went into Qatar? I think you were there during that, weren't you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I was. I was not with them, but I did see them there. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember there was like they did like two like events like at the same exact time. And I remember coming back that next Monday and I had to crack the mic and I was like, we got to talk about something here because we had that Coca-Cola thing where Coke was paying conservative influencers to root for Coke on Snap. And I'm like, this is a complete violation of basic conservative principles. And then all of a sudden I'm watching these conservative content creators, which I guess you would consider Tucker as a part of now. And they're just raving about Qatar. And I'm like, yeah, but get 5 miles outside of the capital and see what the rest of the country looks like. And it almost seemed like to a lot of us that there might have been some money flowing, some influence flowing, stuff like that as a propaganda thing, which we know that China has done. We know that other countries have done this as well. Saudi Arabia to a lesser extent. The Crown Prince just hates jihadis, so I'm okay with him.
President Trump is renewing calls for the U.S. to acquire Greenland. The president says his team is considering a range of options.
But you have like these movements, influence raving about Qatar. And I'm like, yeah, but get 5 miles outside of the capital and see what the rest of the country looks like. And it almost seemed like to a lot of us that there might have been some money flowing, some influence flowing, stuff like that as a propaganda thing, which we know that China has done. We know that other countries have done this as well. Saudi Arabia to a lesser extent. The Crown Prince just hates jihadis, so I'm okay with him. But you have like these movements that have happened where they just push kind of the influencers on both sides or one side of our political aisle here in the U.S., and they fund them. China's been having parties with the media for years, and then a lot of those members come back and sing the praises of China, and next thing you know, they got nice cars they didn't have before. And it seemed like Qatar had kind of done a propaganda thing. In D.C., is there some concern? Not that I've seen any evidence of this, and I'm not accusing him of that. But is there some concern that maybe Tucker might have been the recipient of some kind of outreach program like that, and maybe he fell for it?
I do. I think so. I mean, and again, I think, Casey, we're all human beings. And when someone offers you a deal that it's tough to refuse, and it doesn't, completely go against your ethical standards or your spiritual moral compass, and you can somehow justify this, people will find themselves in that spot. I think there's several people that's happened to. I think it's happened to Tucker. I think it's happened to Candace Owens. All of a sudden, Israel is a democracy. Israel does not make their women cover themselves from head to toe and basically, behave like property sometimes. Israel is our friend and ally. And are they perfect? No. But no one is. But to say all of a sudden that Israel is the greatest threat to the mankind in the world is just, something's not right. Okay. It's like, let's be objective here. And even when Tucker went to Israel just recently and did his interview with Mike Huckabee, so many strange things out of all of that. I've been to Israel numerous times, and it is a very welcoming country. And he was trying to act like he was the enemy there. Well, there are people in Israel that are very concerned about Tucker's rhetoric. So, that might be part of it. Maybe it's his own guilty conscience. I don't know. But at the same time, when these influencers there is so much money in the Middle East around the Gulf states, and there's a reason for Israel to defend themselves because of the things that are being said about them. there is massive propaganda wars, and there's a lot of money behind it. And these influencers all of a sudden are getting paychecks for their messaging, and of course they are. So I think we as Americans need to just sit back like we always do and be objective about it, and draw the line and say, look, we're not going to be completely controlled by what you say, that all of a sudden the Qataris are completely innocent and our friends, and we should all go buy real estate there. I don't buy that. But can we be friends with them? I think we can. Well, Israel has shown they are our friends, and let's sort out the problem in Gaza. We know that there was terrorists in Gaza. Hamas was controlling Gaza. That's a fact. And we know that 1,200 people were killed on one day from the attacks. Now, the response to Gaza, I'm open to hey, I want to make sure that, there was proper protocol followed, but it's a mess down there, and Hamas hides behind innocent people as human shields. They had a whole tunnel system down there. We all acknowledge that. So I think when we stick to the facts, that's what's important to make decisions on, rather than influence, money, and somehow an agenda that we think is going to somehow help people as individuals rather than helping our country. And even journalists, reporters, people in the media, you guys hold a lot of power, hold a lot of sway with your voices and your pens. And there's a responsibility to what is said in those mediums that we have to be sure that we're all seeking truth. And, I know there's always going to be debate, but that's why free speech is such an important matter to protect.
I'm just trying to gauge time here, Congressman. Do you have time for a whole other segment, or should I just wrap this up in a couple of minutes?
I can hold on.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put you on hold then, because I got a couple more questions about this, and then I want to ask you about some of your recent endorsements, because I thought they were interesting, and we'll come back with you here in just a little bit. Appreciate the extra time, Congressman. Putting you on hold now. We're going to go pay some bills. We'll be back with Congressman Marlin Stutzman from Indiana's 3rd Congressional District in a minute, right here on The Burning Truth.
Banned from Facebook for life. You can follow Casey on X, on Truth Social, Rumble, and btmedia.news.
See, Gabby's nailed it. Is it really about Tucker versus Levin? I don't think so. Gabby gets it. Well, not only do we not recognize CIA propaganda now, we've historically had a problem identifying it to begin with. So, and sometimes that propaganda is just to get the two sides to do their thing and, kind of flush out extremists in either camp. And there is that possibility as well. Candace is just bonkers right now. There's no defending Candace.
I mean, I hate to say it, but there's I don't hate to say it, but it's probably worth noting. There's a possibility that Tucker is playing a part for our government, not against it. Just throwing it out there. Don't know. If we can get more people to hit that like button, that would be great. Like 100 more of you. That would be awesome. Get us pushed on that homepage.
Every blurry and low vision sufferer must try this daily ritual that is leaving doctors speechless. If you wear glasses or contacts,
when you have situations with people who have influence or have connections with intelligence, there's a lot of people talking about Sean Ryan right now. You know, it's like he's doing some things different than normal. You start to wonder, like, okay, is there a psyop happening here? I think you probably need to at least acknowledge the possibility. Not saying that that's the case. The other thing is so the situation with how Tucker was like treated in Israel, it's like the guy was literally named anti-Semite of the year, for crying out loud, and Mamdani exists. Like it doesn't make any sense. So there are people who will react to those sorts of things by just going super into the paint. And that's always a possibility too.
Yeah, and I mean, he's also coming off of an interview where he more or less asked them, like, hey, do you really care about the people's interest? And he looked at him and said, not really.
Are you talking about Pence?
No, not Pence. When he went overseas.
Oh, the Huckabee thing?
Yeah, for Huckabee.
Well, and I wanted to make this point too. I just had a commercial break, but you know, while we're talking about Tucker and Qatar, I think it's very important to point out Mark Levin is likely everything that we've just kind of acknowledged Tucker might be a part of with Qatar. Levin is a part of with Israel, 100%.
And on News Talk 95.3, Michiana's news channel.
It's not Tuesday, but we're still doing the conspiracy tinfoil thing anyway. Joining us is Representative Marlin Stutzman. Marlin, appreciate you going into the weird world of conspiracy theory with me. Usually Tinfoil Tuesday is when we do this stuff, but I wanted to acknowledge something too. Like we just talked about the Qatar Tucker Carlson thing, but I also want to point out that Mark Levin clearly is the opposite of that with like Israel. I like Mark. I like Tucker. I know both of them. And it's undeniable that Mark Levin is like in the paint associated with Israeli officials. Like there's no doubt that's where his camp is. Tucker doesn't appear to be in that camp. And just to be extra conspiratorial and to give you something to talk about, Congressman, when you're on the floor in the the halls of Congress, there's always a possibility this is all a giant psyop anyway. So we have to acknowledge that, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, Casey. And I think that that's totally fine. I mean, and that's where I think it's hard to kind of understand where Tucker is coming from. It's when somebody's fighting for something, it's nice because it's like, okay, you're fighting for Israel. Let's just take that, for example, or you're fighting for the United States. When all of a sudden you're criticizing Israel in this case, and you're questioning President Trump's mission with Iran, and you're saying all of a sudden the Qataris are the people we should all be identifying with, that's where it's like, okay, my head needs some duct tape here just to try to understand where is this coming from. And now, look, I do think to an extent, and I think we have to keep our eyes wide open, but I do think the Qataris are trending towards the West. Now, that's one of the things that we need to make sure that we understand, too, is where some of this funding is going into our educational institutions and universities that is behind the anti-Semitic education that is being funded. And here's the thing. I mean,
yeah, we talked about that for years.
Yeah, that's right. And it's like in the Qataris, they have a lot of money. They're a small country. They're very influential. They punch above their weight. But I think they're doing some good things, but I'm also going to keep my eyes wide open because I don't trust them completely. And I mean, why would we trust Iran? I mean, Iran has proven themselves over and over. They are at war with us. This is not the start of a war. This is a war that President Trump has said, I'm going to finish this, and we're going to get a new regime in Iran rather than letting this regime that continues to bomb us, whether it's propaganda. They have their proxies in the Houthis and in Hamas and Hezbollah. And so this is the right time to take out Iran. But this propaganda stuff that's going on, we have to be very careful because it's dividing us